Effective, easy to install and ensuring maximum performance, ROCKWOOL insulation granulate, also known as blown-in insulation, or loose-fill insulation, is an efficient way to protect buildings and their occupants against fire, nuisance noise, and heat loss. Applied in a range of areas, especially loft and wall spaces, insulation can be installed using a blowing machine, rather than manually rolling out products or placing slabs. ROCKWOOL granular insulation can drive down energy bills and make buildings more comfortable to live and work in. ROCKWOOL granulate insulation can be used in a variety of applications. Unlike products such as rolls and slabs, loose-fill insulation is blown into the applied area using a blowing machine. This has a flexible tube to be moved around and pointed at specific areas to fill them with granulate. This helps ensure maximum coverage, with minimal effort, in a variety of settings. Cavity walls insulation is installed between the outer and inner wall, reducing heat loss through cavity spaces in renovated or new builds. Matching floor and wall. It's the latest trend and more popular than ever, with the new and easy wall system. Installing HARO laminate floor on the wall is child's play. For the wall installation you will need fastening rails to ensure perfect interlock. These should be installed at a distance of approximately 50 centimeters. Mark the positions of the rails on the wall. Start with the central rail, align the rails using a spirit level and mark a drilled hole every 60 to 70 centimeters. Using appropriate wall plugs and screws, secure the rails to the wall. You can level out minor irregularities on the wall using spacers or wooden shims. Start the installation in the left-hand corner. The groove side should be facing upwards. First, cut off the tongue side of the first row of boards. Make sure the board is perfectly horizontally, using the spirit level. Underlay the first board using a shim if necessary until you can see from the spurt level that the board is exactly horizontal. Now simply mark and saw it off. This applies for all boards in the first row. Special initial and end clips are supplied for installing the first and last row of boards. Transfer the center point of the rail onto the rear of the board. Screw down the clips on the rear of the boards, making sure not to over-tighten. Once the initial and end clips are attached, simply click the first board into the fastening rail. Secure the first board using the fastening clips. For laminate floor, simply twist the clips into the fastening rail and push down onto the groove. The board is now secured and seated properly on the groove side. Interlock the next board at the edge joint of the previous board and click into the fastening rail. Make sure that there is a clip on every rail. In case of random installation, you can start the second row with a leftover piece of the first row. Angle in the board in the next row with the tongue in the groove of the previous row of boards. Use the fastening clips again to secure the board and follow the same principle with the remaining boards. When you reach the last row, first cut off the groove side of the board at the desired height. To finish off properly, cut off the actual groove itself as a minimum. As with the first row of boards, you will also need the initial and end clips for the last row of boards. Extend the center of the fastening rail onto a decent tape in order to transfer the correct position of the clips to the boards. Now transfer the marking to the rear side of the respective boards. Secure the initial and end clips in the same way as with the boards of the first row. Angling the boards as usual until clips engage audibly into the fastening rail. Matching aluminum cover moldings round off the overall impression of your install surface and conceal the edges. Simply screw the molding onto the surface using the appropriate screws. Allow yourself to be inspired by the comprehensive HARO collection and create your own individual living style. First we will cover the installation of the push-button valve and valve trim for the KOHLER reel rain overhead panel. A separate valve is required in the shower area to control water flow and temperature. Install this valve within an arm's reach of the panel inside the shower area. First determine the desired value location and route the rough plumbing. Wrap sealant tape on the threads of the inlet pipe. If needed, remove the plaster guard from the valve. Orient the valve so the arrow points in the direction the water will flow. Then thread the valve on to the inlet pipe. Then construct suitable support framing for the valve. Apply sealant tape to the threads of the outlet pipe. Thread the outlet pipe into the valve. Reinstall the plaster guard to the valve. Before installing the finished wall, cap the outlet, turn on the water, and check all connections for leaks. Once the finished wall is installed, refer to the guard to determine which length screws to use for the installation of the valve trim. Then use a Phillips screwdriver to unthread the screw and remove the guard from the valve. Install the leak shield to the valve, using 2 screws. Thread the third screw into the valve stem until it is flush with the front of the leak shield. Verify both plastic bearings are in place, then install the push button. The valve trim comes with both a round and a square faceplate. Select the trim desired for your installation. Fit the faceplate over the leak shield, then rotate it clockwise into place. Ensure the push button is not loose. If the button is loose, remove the faceplate and button and unthread the screw as necessary, until the button is no longer loose. Next we will cover the installation of the bracket for the KOHLER reel rain overhead panel. A drop ceiling is required in the shower area where this product is to be installed. To begin, use 2x4s to build support frame to mount the bracket. Mount the support framing so it is level. If possible, KOHLER company recommends mounting the 2x4s flush with the face of the ceiling joists. Dry fit the bracket to the support so the edges are parallel to the shower wall. Orient the inlet pipe hole so the water supply can be easily connected. Mark the location of the bracket. Connect the 3/8" panel inlet pipe to a drop of your elbow. Then connect the water supply. Secure the drop your elbow, then install the bracket by securing each corner of the bracket with at least 2 number 8 and 1/2 inch screws per corner. Any 2 of the 4 holes in each corner can be used. Finally, deburr and clean the inlet pipe. This will prevent any damage to the water inlet gasket when the shower unit is installed. Up next we will cover the installation of the KOHLER reel rain overhead panel. The drop ceiling is required in the shower area where this product is to be installed. This product has a deluge function that requires a manual valve or DTV plus, installed within an arm's reach of the panel inside the shower area. Install the rough plumbing, the support framing and bracket, and the drop ceiling before installing the panel. To install the shower unit, start by threading a level U-nut onto each stud on the bracket. Then move the shower unit into place on the bracket so the leveling nuts stick through the unit and the outside edges of the panel contact the ceiling. Make sure the copper inlet pipe is sticking through the water inlet gasket. Slide the sealing washers, then hand tighten a hex nut onto each of the leveling nuts. Place a level across the shower unit and adjust the leveling nuts until the unit is leveled. Ensure the back of the unit is still contacting all 4 leveling nuts. Use a socket wrench to hold the leveling nuts in place while tightening the hex nuts with an adjustable wrench until the foam gasket is compressed. Do not over-tighten the hex nuts. Check that the foam gasket is compressed between the shower unit and the drop ceiling. If there are any visible gaps, fill them with 100% silicone sealant. Turn on the water to flush any debris from the system. Turn off the water, then install the quick connect elbow to the copper inlet pipe. To install the rain panel trim, start by connecting the 4 corners to 2 of the edge pieces with the provided hex wrench and set screws. Partially thread the other set screws into the 2 remaining edge pieces, then slide one of the edges with corners onto the end of the panel. Slide the two edges without corners onto the sides of the panel so they fit into the corner pieces. Finally, slide the other edge with corners onto the other end of the panel. Tighten all the set screws securely. Gently pry the covers off the corner fasteners. Move the rain panel into place under the shower unit. Using a flat blade screwdriver, turn the corner fasteners from the unlocked to the locked position, then secure the panel by pressing the fasteners upward until you hear them click into place. Use a 3/16" hex wrench to install the center fastener. Do not over-tighten. To complete the installation, press the logo cap over the center fastener and the 4 covers over the corner fasteners. Test the rain panel by turning on the water. After about a minute, the deluge function will be ready to go. Press and hold the push button for at least 1 second to activate the deluge function.